All around the country, there are couples who are waiting eagerly to adopt. And many have to wait a long time. Even though there are so many children in need, because of the way that the system works, there's just a long waiting time. And many of these couples have done everything that's required. The paperwork, the interviews, the home studies, the training classes. Their spare bedrooms are turned into nurseries. You know, the painting is all done. The crib sits waiting. They've got pictures and maybe stuffed animals that are just there waiting for this child. And as they wait, sometimes it can be month after month after month, and nothing really seems to change for them. Every time the phone rings, there's this bit of excitement that raises up, a sense of hope comes, but then it's not who they thought. It isn't the agency. And then there's that little bit of a letdown that comes. Eventually, they might admit to someone, we're trying not to get our hopes up anymore. Trying not to hope. Because hoping begins to hurt when what you want and what you're hoping for doesn't seem to come to fruition. But then one afternoon, the phone rings, and it is the agency. There's a baby. If everything goes as planned, this child will be placed with you. Just hearing those words, something inside them changes. Nothing physically has changed in their home. The nursery is still empty. The legal work still has to be done. There's still things that need to be finalized, travel that still needs to happen. But something shifts in that moment that they receive that phone call, that there is a child for you. From that point forward, they're not just waiting, they become parents. They begin planning differently. They begin thinking differently. They're talking differently. They're living differently. Because of that promise, something changes before the child even arrives. Now, imagine this same story, but with a slightly different phone call from the agency. Imagine if the agency calls and says, "We have this child that we want to place with you, but only if you prove yourselves to be worthy parents during the waiting. We're going to evaluate every decision. One serious mistake could disqualify you from receiving this child." How do you think they would have lived then? Every disagreement would probably feel pretty dangerous. Every bad day would feel threatening. Every delay would feel like judgment. They wouldn't be living in a sense of security. They are going to be living with constant anxiety. They're not resting in promise. What they begin to do is scramble to perform. And here's the uncomfortable truth. I'm sure you're already making the connection. Many people assume that that is how God operates. We assume that we are on probation in our faith. We assume one failure cancels out the promise. We assume that we must prove ourselves worthy while we're waiting. But Romans 4 tells us a different story. God does not begin with performance. And this is the first point in your outline. God starts with promise, not performance. Amen?